Hello and welcome to this interview for Miguel's graduate seminar in international development. Joining me today is Dr. Wyclife Mose Ongeta. Dr. Ongeta is a lecturer at the Graduate School of Security, Diplomacy, and Peace Studies of Kenyatta University in Kenya. Dr. Wyclife obtained his PhD in Peace and Conflict Studies from the United Nations mandated University for Peace in Costa Rica. His thesis topic was on violent conflict and development among the pastoralist communities in Karamoja, in Uganda, and West Pokot County in Kenya. Dr. Wyclife has also been a director of Global Peace Chain, which is an organization dedicated to the global issues of promoting international peace and security. Dr. Wyclife is currently the director of Oasis Peace Web, which is also an organization dedicated to the goal of peace building and good governance. Thank you so much, Dr. Wyclife, for accepting to join me today. Actually, you spared this time so that you'd be able to share your wealth of experience on climate change and conflict resolution. Dr. Wyclife, kindly, would you please tell us much more about your organization, that is Oasis Peace Web organization, and its operation concerning peace and climate change.
Thank you very much, Samuel. I'm really glad to be with you this evening and to have such a very important conversation. As you have already noted, for me, I did my PhD in the in an area which is affected by violent conflict, Karamoja region. This region has experienced violence for decades, and it's an arid and semi-arid land. While I was doing my PhD, that's when I was able to identify a gap on what could be done to address some of the issue. Especially what I noted in Karamoja region, especially when it comes to conflict resolution, is a job that is being done by council of elders. Most of the time you realize men and women, young men and women are left out in making decisions of the community. And these are the people who are very actively involved in causing conflicts. The young men are the ones that are engaging in raids. Women, they encourage these men to go to raids through songs, through encouragement, to get wealth for the family and the dowry. So women celebrate these men, and they are also part of this conflict, and yet they are left out in making in the council of elders who resolve conflicts. So that's why this is one thing I realized has made that region, the conflict not ending. So as such, that's how I came up with the idea of Oasis Peace Web organization, trying to fill this gap. Like right now, in collaboration with the University of Sheffield, we have a project in this region. We're trying to build the capacity of youth and women in conflict resolution, creating awareness to the community, to the council of elders, that why they should involve women in conflict resolution. We are also connecting the community with different stakeholders in national and the county government. As already you have realized, this place is arid and arid land. Like now, we are experiencing a very serious drought. We are also trying to build the resilience of the community. The community has been depending on animals as a livelihood, a source of livelihood. Now we are trying to provide the alternative livelihood here we are building the capacity of the youth to get some technical skills like masonry, building skills, wiring, carpentry, all these skills. We are trying to offer the alternative source of livelihood such that this youth could not engage in violent cattle rustling, and also to make them resilient against the climate change shock, because now they are not going to depend so much on handouts for survival, but now because they will be getting livelihood from other alternative sources. So I think the community is going to cope with the issue of the climate change shock. So that's part of what we are doing, and we intend to expand the project to try to address other like health aspect to the health climate change nexus. We're trying also to check on the effect of health to elderly, children, issue of nutrition. We are trying to educate the community about climate smart agriculture. We're trying also to support the community health volunteers to support, because they are the effect of climate change to the health of the people. These are some of the things we are trying to do, and we hope whatever little we are doing is going to contribute the greater good of the community. So as you had asked me, my research interests focus broadly on technology, climate change, peace and development, with a regional focus on Africa.
Absolutely fantastic, Dr. Wyclife. Looking at the International Committee of Red Cross report, it has been suggested that they have suggested that there's absolutely no clear connection between climate change and conflict. But again, they have also suggested that countries that are enduring conflicts are less able to cope with climate change, precisely because their ability to adapt is weakened by conflict. So Dr. Wyclife, as a researcher in both fields, that is climate change and conflict, would you kindly precisely talk about the relationship, actually the relationship between climate change and conflict?
Thank you very much, Samuel. That's a good question. Even for me, I concur with that report. There is no really a direct relationship between climate change and conflict, but in one way or the other, the climate shock, climate change shock, especially now we are talking about pastoral community. The community would depend on animals, resources like water and grass for livelihood. We are speaking right now, there is the drought period. The season for drought has been prolonged because of the issue of climate change. What that means, the grass, which is very key food for animals, the water pans, so the springs, rivers that were providing water, they are now dry. And that's what it means. The community is crossing over to other, maybe to Karamoja of Uganda, they're crossing to Ethiopia, they're crossing to South Sudan. And when they're trying to get these resources there, sometimes there is disagreement. Perhaps if they have not asked permission from the leaders in that region, you get there is disagreement, and sometimes there is violence. That's one way. And sometimes when after the rain, when rain comes back, when they're getting back, if they went to Karamoja in Uganda to get grass, these men, young men, they're tempted to come with animals from Uganda. They get animals from there and they cross with it. And in the process, it causes a problem. This has caused violent conflict, rates and counter rates in the process. So you can see, although it is not really direct, but in one way you can see how the impact of drought, the climate change shock, is causing this kind of conflict.
Thank you, Dr. Wyclife. You've talked about culture playing a pivotal role in the issues of conflict. I would really love to know much about access to services and social safety nets for resilience in terms of climate resilience. Would you also briefly talk about that?
Okay. The government of Kenya is really trying, especially right now. We have a very serious drought in this region, the northern part of Kenya, including Pokot, Turkana. In this region, at the moment, the government is trying to raise funds, and also there is some resources the government is trying to help this community in terms of food foragers. They're also trying to feed animals which are facing the serious impact of drought. But I think all along the government has been reactive to this issue. Like right now, when we have a very serious drought, that's when we have, like right now, we have so many animals have died because of drought. Children, there's a lot of malnutrition because of a lack of food. We have food insecurity in this region. So most of the time when I check on the government, it has been reactive to this issue. I think we need to have a short-term, long-term, mid-term and long-term in addressing this, the impact of drought to these communities. Okay, the short term, it can be like social safety net. Social safety net are very important because they are helping the family's household to at least to manage the shock, the impact of climate change. But the government needs to come up with the infrastructures such as irrigation, to have huge dams, to develop huge dams to preserve water for irrigation and for consumption, for irrigation and consumption. I think that could help the community to be more resilient, and also we need to have encourage the community to plant more trees. In fact, there is a lot of cutting tree and burning charcoals as a source of livelihood because of the impact of drought. So that's why, like in our project, we were trying to provide youth with skills such that they can have alternative livelihood, such that they don't destroy forests. But if we do nothing, the forests are going to be destroyed, and the impact is going to be severe when it comes to climate change. So the government needs also to build the infrastructure, like a road network. This place, when rain comes, it becomes also a lot of it. There is a lot of floods. The bridges are swept away, houses are swept away. So the government needs to come up with a very serious plan about where houses should be built, and also the bridges should be built which can stand when stand floods. So construction should bear in mind, and that one should be in partnership with the community, because the community knows exactly where there is a problem. Only like us, what we need, we connect the community with the governments and development partners who could help the community deal with this problem, because they have a lot of knowledge about this region, about how they can navigate. So it needs collaboration to address this problem.
Dr. Wyclife, thank you so much. Talking about a solution that is actually home-based, like the community, getting solution directly from the community rather than relying on the experts to get the solution for them. I've read a bit of your research work that actually talks about homegrown solution to conflicts. that you've just talked about.
Sure.
Yeah, and actually, being that you have been a researcher and in both conflict resolution and climate change, and also a director in global peace chain. What can you say about the work of transitional justice when it comes to conflict resolution and also climate change?
Oh, okay, transitional justice, especially the countries, you know, the vulnerable countries that have really experienced conflict and are in transition and facing also the climate change. I think I look at it like a double tragedy. You know, these communities that have been undergoing serious violent armed conflict, and now they have another serious effect of armed conflict. So in dealing with this issue, I think we need all stakeholders to work with all stakeholders. We need to work with the government. We need to work with the county government, especially this transitional, the communities going through transitional justice, and also working with the community, because the community itself is very key in this process. Most of the time, you get that the ideas which they want to address these issues, they want to bring them from outside. The way it is in theory, they want to plant these ideas to the community. But if we move with the community and listen to the voices of women, men, elderly, because they have lived in these places for so long, we are going to get a solution. And especially now, when we are talking about transitional justice, there are things like uh, disarmament, issue about disarmament. We should look at this issue in a very careful manner, especially when we are talking about these communities in Karamojas. These communities, many communities have guns, and if like you disarm one community and you leave other community, or if this disarmament it's not in a regional, it's not done regional, it's done in Kenya, and you leave South Sudanese, you leave Ugandans, you Ethiopian with guns, these people they will come and wipe these other communities. So some of these things should be done regionally. When we are trying to address this issue, we can't focus on only one country. And issue about like justice, we can also apply indigenous mechanisms. You know, these mechanisms are very effective in restoring relationship, because you know if you use the penal code, you know it's win-loss. If we have win-loss, that's a problem. We want a system whereby at least it is going to help us to build those relationships that were destroyed, and that's how we are going to have this community live cohesively. I think that's what I could say for now on that.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Wyclife. Now that you are an academician, being a lecturer at the university, teaching courses such as international and environmental politics, and also conflict. There's a notion that there's some sort of skepticism when it comes to issues to do with the knowledge on climate change and adaptation. What would you say about integrating the knowledge of climate change into various disciplines in our institution of higher learning?
Oh, that's a very good question, Samuel. You know, the issue of climate change, what I'm thinking, many challenges that we are facing because of climate change, like the communities, if I take an example of communities in Karamoja, it's because of lack of knowledge about how to address this issue. And if the community is knowledgeable about how to deal with this issue of climate change, the impact is not going to be severe, and the community, they are going to be more resilient. So the aspect of integrating the knowledge, environmental knowledge on climate change in curriculum in all levels of schooling, just right from primary, like primary school runners, they can learn about planting trees. If you cut one, plant two or three or four. They learn importance of conserving environment. This is the knowledge they will grow with. As they move to higher level of learning, to the university, how to negotiate about, like the COP27. You see the negotiations that are happening. We need people with knowledge. You can't negotiate on something you don't understand. And like if you check on what's happening on COP27 on damage, on issue of damage and loss, we want government not really to focus so much damage and loss and doing nothing. There's a lot the communities, governments, people could be doing, like planting trees, taking care of biodiversity. These are things, we could do. We don't need money from elsewhere to make this happen. Let us just keep doing this. And if we get that support in terms of technology, renewable energy technology, green technology, we get that one and support us as a backup, I think we'll go places. But people should stop saying loss and damage, and doing nothing and cutting down trees. Like if you check on what's happening in Plasiri, Amazon is being destroyed by criminal elements. The government is not taking care of it. You destroy Amazon and you start crying, oh, we have impact of climate change, oh, we need loss and damage, and you are destroying. We should be doing something. When we do something, if we get that backup, that's when we move together as communities. And the issue, okay, there's an issue which I think the government from Global North, many of they say don't use coal. But for them to use coal to get industrialized. That's why the economy, strong economies, and now here you are told, don't use coal. You don't get industrialized, you keep struggling. Sometimes I see it an irony because you take hydrocarbons in Africa, we have a lot of those hydrocarbons where I can allow us to use these resources also to get industrialized. Some crazy kind of thinking, but we should, all of us, do something. Taking responsibility, it should be responsibility from all parties and not like saying one party taking responsibility and the other party not doing anything.
Talking about destruction in Amazon, I know you have been one of the advocates for the conservation of Amazon water towers. And there are also other water towers in Africa, like Mau rainforest. And there's also been emotional talks, especially that is pitting the public, the local people that have encroached into Mau forest against the politicians who are also brought this discussion into the public limelight. What would you say about the conservation of our water towers? Because we know that without the conservation of these water towers, then we are likely to experience serious climate change crisis. So in general, what would you say about the water towers conservation?
Samuel, conserving water tower is very important. Like you see, when the government tried to conserve Mau forest, the issue about politics and politicians, politicians, for them, they want to see what is going to help them to get a milestone, to get votes from people. they don't care. Even if they destroy the water towers, they destroy biodiversity, they don't care. For them, they want foods. So that's why I think now we need experts. The government needs to listen more from experts and not politicians when it comes when we are dealing with sensitive issues like the issue of climate change and preservation of biodiversity. Because those politicians are not the experts of environment. For them, they are just talking about their selfish interest. They want to see what's going to please the people to give them votes. So I think when it comes to issue of climate change, it should be the work of experts. The government should listen to the experts, because if we really destroy these towers, we are going to have a serious crisis. Like now we have drought. Rivers, they are going to get dry. So you see, people, they are going to lack food. Like we have food insecurity. Like in Kenya right now, 4 million people, they are food insecure. If you go to the Horn of Africa, it's more secure, it's more severe. We have serious problem. So you see, there is benefit when we preserve these water towers and nature. So there will be plenty of food, the environment will be good for all of us. But if we destroy, now I think the loss is, I don't know how many times. So it's better we don't listen so much to politicians, because politicians, they have their own selfish interests. That's my take on regarding that.
Wonderful. Just to, as we get to the end of our conversation, what is your take about interdisciplinary research program that, because you as a researcher, there's need for interdisciplinary research program, in that different researchers on, especially when you're talking about climate change, different researchers from other disciplines come together and do a complementary research that can help in complementing each other's research paradigm. What is your take about that precisely?
Samuel, that's a good question. It's like crossbreeding. I don't know whether you did agriculture. When you crossbreed a breed, what you get? The product. You get excellent, good quality product.
Good quality product.
Yeah? Yes. So it's important to listen from economists. It's important to get from scientists their perspective on one issue. It's important to get from people with international development, knowledge on development, on some of their perspective on this issue. When you bring all this, it brings richness, wealth of knowledge, and now we're going to get effective solution in addressing this issue. That's why the field of peace and conflict study is interdisciplinary in nature. You draw knowledge from different disciplines, and that's greatness, because now the problem we are solving in the society is a complex problem. You can't solve relying on only one discipline. You must draw knowledge from different disciplines to be able to resolve this complex problem that is affecting humanity. In fact, if you don't do that, these problems, you will not manage them. It needs getting knowledge from different perspectives. To me, that's my take on that.
Thank you very much. Absolutely fantastic. Actually, sincerely grateful for your willingness to share your expertise and insightful experiences on this particular subject matter. Thank you, and I wish you well in your endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samuel. I'm glad, and I'm wishing you the very best, and let us always keep in touch.
Thank you.
Sure. All the best.